Welcome back. I'm still Adam with the Neveri Family Center for Digital Scholarship, and you are still working along with your SketchUp work. And I promised you in the last video that we would talk about making window components, and I would ask for no more of you, and I'm going to do my best to stick with that. What we're going to do is we're going to put this window in place. And the way these window components work is the way many of our components work. If we have a rectangle, let's say right there, we can go ahead and grab that rectangle. If we right click, we can say make it a component. Now, I mentioned a number of videos back, if we make something a group, it's because it's just a mass of chunks and shapes we want to reuse. But if we make it a component, it's because it's a thing, it's a window, or it's a door, or it's a column. So we're going to make this square window. Or let's call it simple window. I have a couple of options as to things to do here. What I'm interested in are this one. This says replace selection with component. And especially this one. It says cut opening. And what happens when we hit create is if we go into this component, let's offset it a little bit. And let's push back. When we hit cut opening, what we allow the component to do is to carve a hole into another face if we want to. On the fly. We don't have to make, it's not like we have to make a hole here and then take this component and kind of pull it in there, right? We don't need to do that. Because one, maybe we draw the hole the wrong size, or what if we want to shift the window to a different place? Now we've got a hole there. That cut opening allows this component, when we move it in an array, for example, to cut a hole on the fly whenever it's placed on something. So I'll even hit divide by 6. Now we have a whole bunch of those window components, and they all cut a hole. And if we move this window component up, you can see it doesn't leave a hole behind. So using that cut opening opportunity keeps us nimble, but it also makes us that we can make windows that will cut a hole on the fly. And if we delete that component, it doesn't leave a hole there. It automatically makes that indentation. Now, it makes that indentation with one caveat. If we click on this plane, you can see the whole plane highlights. It's not like what happens when we click on this plane. When we click on this plane, it selects the whole group. We haven't made this a group yet. If you want your component to clip a hole into a plane, it has to be inside of a group if this is a group. What I mean is this. Let's say we're going to do two things. Let's say we got this guy. Let's go ahead and let's move this. We'll put it right there. We're going to make a, let's go into our components. Here's our default tray. We made a component. So let's take our, oh, I guess not. I must have controlled Z a little too far. Well, as I promised in the first video, if I make a mistake, I'm going to leave it in. So let's keep on forging through. Let's make another component. 2, 3. Right click, make it a component. We have a cut opening, and we're going to say window 2, because I deleted our first one apparently. Let's go ahead and we'll offset that a little bit, and let's go ahead and push that back. And now we can go ahead and copy it, and it'll cut a hole on the fly. Now let's take this section and let's make that a group. So we're kind of mocking up what's going to be happening here in this situation. If we take this component and we try to copy it here, it won't cut a hole. And the way to think about that is this window is touching this kind of raw geometry. This window isn't touching that raw geometry. It's touching the outside edge of that group. It's almost like like a Christmas present that has multiple layers of wrapping paper wrapped up onto it. It has to be on that base layer where it touches that plane. So let's go ahead and use that idea into here. So let's come in here, and we can't draw a component right away. We need to edit this group first, or drill down into that group to where we can click on that wall and get that wall. Now we can grab that window and we can say make component, and we're going to call this lower window. How's that? Cut opening, replace selection with component. And I always, whenever I'm doing my window components, I always like to draw the square a little bit bigger than I needed, and then just inset a little bit and then push back. How much do I need to push back? I don't know, but I can go back to my matched photo and find out. And I'll just push back until it looks like it lines up with what's going on back there. Now what's going on back there is probably some type of a grill, and I'll use my offset again, and let's just give ourselves a little bit of maybe the exterior framework of that grill, and then just push it back a little bit till we would get to the bars of that grill. So there is our window. Now if we were to take this guy, we can take this and let's move him up. So we could move him up and he would automatically cut. What also can happen is we can take him and copy him and slap him around here to the side, and he'll also cut on this. Now as I'm moving him, you'll see it kind of flattens itself and it snaps onto whichever plane it happens to be on. And that is because of one other additional pop-up setting that we saw when we were making a component. So let's Control Z till we get to the one we want. And let's take a look at where that setting was. We're not going to complete this component, but if we say make component, you can see right here, see where it says glue to any? Any refers to an axis. So the horizontal, vertical, or sloped. Well, I could also say plane. But this gives us the opportunity to either slap onto any face when it gets near one, or we can say none, and it will always stay oriented along that red axis no matter what we do with it. But there is our window component inside of a group. And if we come around, we know that we're going to need to put one here. We know we need to put one over here. And we also know we need to make another window up here, and we'll have to duplicate that a couple of times. So what I will do once I stop recording is I'll make this window component as well. I'll go ahead and place these guys where they need to be, and I can take this extra window component and I can add it to our porches. So I'll go ahead and I'll take care of some of that, and then we'll come on back and we'll see what the next stage of our modeling is going to be. So I will see you in a little bit.